Hello and welcome to our October Spotlight webinar. I'm Beth Misner and I am the chair, I'm the president and co-founder of the BNI Foundation, and not the chair of the board. That would be Jeff Stay, who will be on with us in a little bit. And I'd like to introduce Brian Bentzen. He's our social media coordinator. Hi, Brian.
Hi, Beth. Hi, everyone. Welcome.
Good to see you. And then we have on the call with us quite a few luminaries and some special guests. I know it says Shodi, but that's actually Shanna. Hi, Shanna. How are you? We've got Dr. Moten. We've got Glen Coleman and Principal Brown. And then on the phone with us is Vinnie Matthews. And Vinnie, we're all waving, so I'll wave it on your behalf. And we have a really exciting topic today. I'm excited about this topic. Aren't you, Brian?
Yes. It's something we've been talking about for months.
Yes, and seeing it come together and now hearing from people that are doing these projects is really super exciting. So I am going to talk just a little bit about business voices just to get us started, and then we'll go into our special presentation today about career days, career fair, job fair, and how it ties in with business voices. So we have had our BNI Foundation for about 18 years, and those of you who are watching this recording back, some of you may not know the history of the BNI Foundation, so I just want to take a second to share that with you. Our foundation has been doing an amazing work. We have donated over $3 million to other nonprofit charities, primarily with a focus on children and education since we founded in 1998. We started as a donor-advised fund, so we didn't start primarily originally as a 501c3. Happy to say now, right, guys, that we are a 501c3. We got our approval in May from the IRS, and we are busy forming our team, our staff, getting all of our ducks in a row to really provide the support for the initiative that the BNI Foundation started about 2.5-3 years ago, and that is Business Voices. And what we're doing with Business Voices is pretty revolutionary, I would say. We're connecting the business environment, the business community, with schools, with educators, and we're going into the schools and we're finding out what their needs are. So Business Voices is creating a way for the business community to learn what the needs of the schools are. Once we learn what those needs are, we are more than happy to help. We just need to know how, and we need to know where, and we need to know what the schools need first. And so that's my little bit about Business Voices. And Brian, will you share just a little bit about your role with the BNI Foundation and kind of why are you doing this?
Well, the BNI Foundation has been something I've always enjoyed and being part of. I truly adopted the philosophy of giver's gain as a BNI member and as a BNI director, and over the years have worked with Beth and taken BNI's philosophy of giver's gain out of the chapter and into the community. And that's what I really love about Business Voices. It's taking my philosophy of giving back, but giving now back to schools, education, and it is something that we have launched this past year, and it is just taking off nationwide through campaigns we have done, through school supply drives, through helping the Boys and Girls Club, Junior Achievement, and now teaching people how to create these amazing career fairs that they can take business owners into the schools. Schools love to have career fairs, but they always have a hard time finding business owners. We have business owners that love to volunteer, so we just are acting as a bridge connecting the two of them, and that's what I truly love about what we're doing with Business Voices.
Great. I'm really glad to see the little cameo there of your friend beside you. We always end up getting to see that cat somehow. I just think that's great. Thank you, Brian. So that brings us to the program for today. We have had some really great successes with connecting BNI members and business owners in the community with schools to hold career fairs. So we've asked two teams, BNI members, Business Voices team members, and their principal that they went and served, to come on our webinar today to share a little bit about the experience. So I'm going to start by introducing the Texans on the call. Texans, I see you represent. All right, woohoo! So on our call today, if you'll both go ahead and unmute yourselves, I'm going to give you the opportunity to start. we have Shanna and Dr. Moten, and Shanna is a BNI member in Beaumont, Texas. She's a member of the All-Stars chapter, and it was her and Vinnie Matthews, who's also on the call. And Vinnie, I don't know if you'd like to unmute briefly and say hello. And I know you guys are going to share just a little bit about how you got connected with the school, what the hurdles were that you had to overcome, and how it got to the point where you were able to pull it off. And then Dr. Moten, we want you to share, what was it like for you? Dr. Moten's the principal of a middle school, West Orange Stark Middle School in Texas, Southeast Texas. What did it mean, and how did it impact the kids? So y'all go ahead and take it away.
Well, my name is Shanna Fuller, as a consultant, of course, and we learned about Beth's program at one of the events that she was at, and instantly members of our group said, how can we do this? So we took that initiative, we got a team together, and we decided we were going to target West Orange Stark School District, and we went there and we found out what the needs were, or what some of the needs were, and we just wanted to jump on wherever we could. And I'll let Vinnie describe how we got to the career day at our campus.
Okay, Vinnie is from Orange, Texas. West Orange Stark is in Orange, Texas.
So, I don't know if you can hear me, Vinnie, but your audio is breaking up really badly. We're not able to detect what you're saying. So,
thank you so much. Is that better?
Not really.
It was loud.
Yeah. Why don't we move to Dr. Moten? And Dr. Moten, if you could please share with us what this was like for you and what you think the impact has been on the kids. And I'd love to hear the story about the history of what Career Day has looked like at your school prior to Business Voices coming into town.
Okay, well, good evening, everyone, and it's a pleasure to be here to join everyone today. Well, the history is that our job fair was pretty bleak, and to some, non-existent. I believe at the height of it, prior to you guys joining our team, we may have had 3 people coming out, just walking into classrooms, introducing themselves and telling a little bit about their careers and their paths. But when you ladies came involved, when this group came involved with us, we went from a non-existent program or one that wasn't something we could hang our hat on, to now having this program where I believe last year we had 19 folks come out and share their career paths with our kids, which for me, it was overwhelming for me, because we were able to bring our kids into our gym. It's full of lovely people. It's full of all these fantastic businesses that were there to really engage our kids. Our kids were moving around in groups, spending 10 minutes or so in each group. And when you talk about moving 500 kids that way, I mean, that's pretty phenomenal. And I will use an example from yesterday. One of our more exclusive florists here in town was there, and he was creating these beautiful floral arrangements for our kids. And I know for a fact that the flowers that he chose were not inexpensive pieces. They were really, really nice flowers that he brought out to show our kids how to make these exquisite floral arrangements. And then he left maybe 5 of them to give to our kids and to our staff. So the turnover from that is that our kids talked about that event for, I know, 3 or 4 days. And then in their respective classes where those flowers were, it even sparked more conversation about it. So that conversation continued for a week at least about the experiences that they had with these people through Career Day.
That's excellent. And Shanna, just what was it like for the members to be there and interacting with these middle schoolers?
I think because BNI members, most of us are entrepreneurs, and to be able to share the experience from the ground up, and then have kids excited to see the looks on their faces is that, I can do this. That means that my dream isn't irrelevant. My dream is not impossible. That these are average people just like us that started from nothing and made something. And getting to see their faces like it can happen. And to help, to be able to share that with the next generations or the generations of the future, I think that was the biggest thing. And I mean, we got something out of that because how often do we get rewarded for our hard work, day in and day out? Now, anybody who's been an entrepreneur, whether it's 100%, 24/7, and to take some time and explain that process to some kids and have them understand or at least comprehend that it wasn't easy, but it was possible, that it's possible. If you want it bad enough, you can achieve it. And to see them be excited, because that's truly what you want. You want them to be excited. You want them to know there's nothing impossible, that you can do this.
Oh, that's inspiring. That's really great. Well, we're going to have more questions for both of y'all, so don't go away. We'll ask you to go ahead and mute yourselves. And the next pair, Brian, you're going to introduce our next team.
Yes, I would love to introduce them. Oh, my computer's decided to do something for me. Yes, I would love to introduce Patrice Brown. She's the principal of Guilford Middle School in Greensboro, North Carolina. Principal of 750 children that attend that school, mostly minority. 75% of these students get reduced lunch prices. Patrice also goes above and beyond to help these kids in her school. She embraced the career fair last year, just as we welcome the school's adoption by members of the BNI Success Express. And on behalf of BNI member Success Express is Glen Coleman. He's the BNI Director Consultant and the Chief at Large and a Chief Helper of Indoor Pollution Solutions. He is a Business Voices team leader for BNI Georgia and North Carolina, and is our USA coach for Business Voices teams nationwide. So I'd like to introduce Glen and Patrice Brown.
Hello. Can everyone hear me?
We can hear you, Patrice. Go on.
Hi. Well, I'm going to step back and let Glen speak first, and then I'll be happy to fill in.
Okay.
Well, Patrice's school was actually the first one here in North Carolina where we had a career fair last year. And my goal now is every school should have a career fair. It's as simple as that. The adults love them. At the end of the day at Patrice's school, every single adult who participated came up and said, "When's the next one?" And at the time we had to say, "Well, next year." Well, now, fortunately, we can say next month, and the month after, and the month after. No, I take that back. We're skipping December. Next year, we should have one a week. And from a business standpoint, I like to put it this way. Who are the best word-of-mouth advertisers in the world? Kids. Mm-hmm. Kids are why we wear seatbelts. Kids are why we recycle. So from a business standpoint, you need to be in front of kids. Not only that, the kids are the future of our world. So let's teach them how to network. Let's give them a vision of the possibilities. I get so thrilled to talk to kids who don't know what they want to do when they graduate high school. That was me. So I can relate to that. I'm on my 5th career, going on my 6th. And it would have been wonderful if I had been able to talk to an adult or adults from various fields when I was a kid. People who know me well know I'm still a kid, but I'm 61 years old. So Patrice was the first principal to embrace the idea of a career fair here in North Carolina. And now I'll turn it over to her for her results.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is absolutely a joy and a pleasure to participate in this webinar. Unfortunately, I'm participating only by phone, but nevertheless, it's my pleasure to share the wonderful relationship we've established with BNI and Business Voices to support our students. You gave information about our students in terms of our demographics. I just want to take another step to share that we have about 25 countries that are represented. And our students are fantastic. They truly have a global view and global experiences that they're able to share with each other. In preparing our students for the 21st century, one of the most important pieces that we integrate with their instruction is connecting to 21st century skills, and absolutely problem solving, and of course being able to extend beyond basic reading and writing and math is so important. But if students don't understand why they're doing what they're doing, it just doesn't stick with them. So we are often hard pressed to make those connections so that they'll understand that the work that you're doing today is relevant to your goals working towards the future. And when Glenn and Jennifer Taylor came to us and offered the opportunity to partner, we immediately thought of ways that we could help connect with our students and help them move closer to the reality of how they're using their everyday practices to attain their career goals. So with that, we formed a committee, both Jennifer and Glenn and some of the other members of the group, along with our staff, and we very quickly were able to put together our first career and college day last fall. Some of the topics that the presenters were able to share with our students included mock interview, job searching tips, leadership traits, communication skills, having a strong mentality for high school and beyond, personal branding, just a range of different activities. And students worked through rotations in 20-minute segments where they were connecting with over 60 business leaders that BNI was able to connect us with, and have them come in and directly communicate with our students. Through that mock interview process, they worked with students one-on-one to help them understand what that interview would look like and sound like and feel like, so that when they walked out, they felt connected to other people in the community outside of the staff and the teachers that loved them and cared about them enough to want them to be successful. And it was just the most overwhelmingly successful event that I've been a part of in a long time. It was just wonderful. It truly would bring a tear to your eye to see the connections that our students and staff made with our business community. So just as Glenn said, we're already planning our next opportunity. I don't know if at this point we're ready to have one every week because it took a lot of planning and thinking and kind of looking at details. And even as we reflected last year, we talked about ways that we can make it bigger and better. But we are so excited about having this opportunity and knowing that it will solidify our students' success as they move forward in their high school and beyond high school and college careers.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Questions for anyone would be, what grades would be appropriate for a career fair? You talk to some schools, they were saying, it's like, well, we're not high school. We don't need to do a career fair. So why would career fair benefit elementary, middle school, and high school levels?
Good question.
I can speak to that. I actually was an elementary principal prior to coming to Guilford Middle. I was for 7 years, and it is never too early to bring careers and 21st century relevance to students. Even in pre-K, we had visitors that would come out. Sometimes the fire department would come and share information and let students interact with the engine and the fire officers in the uniforms. But just planting those seeds as early as possible is very important. When students get to the middle school ages, they're able to make stronger connections just because they can read and communicate and write applications and be a part of that a little more intensely because they're about to go into the work world. Of course, when they get to high school, they are filling out applications and they are getting jobs. So you can do a little more with students, but I would say that any age, absolutely, you can connect them with our community because it's showing them that there are people that care about you and want to see you be successful.
I can see great follow-up in any grade saying like, okay, let's write a story. What do I want to be when I grow up? After
Exactly.
the career fair.
Exactly.
So how can a school get started in planning a career fair? We have people interested in wanting to do one, never planned one. So what are some of the steps? Anyone have some thoughts on that?
Definitely.
Well, I can speak to that based on our experiences. We have different student groups that are have sponsors by staff. Sometimes those may take the place of student council, or they may take the place of an activities coordinator. It just depends. But often those will be the people that work with clubs and after-school activities that are interested in extending those opportunities for students beyond the school day. I would take that group of persons in the school and connect them with the business community, very much in the way that BNI has come in. Often our guidance counselors are the linchpin with those communications, because they, of course, particularly in the middle school and high schools, are preparing students for college and beyond. So they are essential to making sure that we're pulling in those elements that are part of their day-to-day instruction, and they're understanding those connections all the way through. So often your guidance counselor is going to be a very important person to get things started.
Wonderful, thank you. Shanna, you had some comments too.
Just back to what we were talking about previously, I think what Ms. Brown was saying about starting in pre-K is important, because what I've seen over the years working with youth in crisis is that there's a serious disconnect. Like when we were growing up, we used to dream of, I want to be a policeman, I want to be a firefighter, I want to be a doctor. But these kids, when you talk to them these days, somewhere between that pre-K age and middle school, mostly, you don't see that anymore. Now it's like, I don't know. They have no idea that they can dream.
They want to be a rap star or a basketball player.
Yeah, out of necessity. So I think getting them younger and continuing that trend all the way till their high school reaffirms the idea that you were created for a purpose and you have something to give to this world. And that is important.
Dr. Moten, did you have any comments on this?
Well, I do actually. Thanks for asking. I'm going to go back a question or two as well. I think that you talked about how soon can we engage in this process. I agree with the other principal, as early as possible. And for me, I think to put it very succinctly is that it breaks the traditional pathways for success. So let's say I'm in a small town. Most kids think, I'm gonna go to high school, graduate, go work in one of the industrial plants, life is good. So it breaks the traditional pathways of how to become successful or what success looks like outside of this dynamic, if that makes sense. So I think the earlier we can expose children to different pathways, it broadens their opportunities. Because now, depending on where you are, you're either going to deal with high school, military, work in a plant, try to be an entertainer, football player, or however that scope is in your respective environment. And some of those pathways are not the most positive, depending on where you are. So the younger we can submerge children in these other pathways, it can only enhance their view of not only what they can accomplish, but what's respectively out there in the world that they can try to become. One, I think two, in the planning piece, when we sat down to plan, our group of folks came in and we just kind of brainstormed with myself and my team on what needs we had and what needs they could provide. And for us, it was more of just trying to make it bigger and better than what we've had before. So we never imagined that, even because I think we pulled this off in maybe 2 weeks, so it wasn't a real in-depth process for us. The ladies came in and said, hey, we can provide this for you. What would you like for that to look like? And at that point, we were just like, hey, if you can get, if you can get anyone, you can get a horseshoeman or if you can get anybody else to come other than the traditional judge and fire chief that we had coming every year, then that would definitely increase our children's curiosity as into what they can truly explore as far as career pathing in this respective area. So it wasn't that detailed for us because the ladies had a real clear idea of who they knew and what connections that they had and what opportunities those people could come and provide for us, which I believe speaks to the strength of the BNI group. You know, it's, well, hey, you know, can we get a florist? Well, yeah, we can get a florist, but hey, I know someone who blows, who makes glass. I know someone, you know, so it's just the connection that led to the connection that led to the connection that allowed these groups of people to come out and interface with our kids.
Wonderful. Beth, do you have any particular questions for our panel?
But I think Glen's dying to make a comment on this topic.
I have to agree with everyone on when to start. The earlier the better. We've had career fairs from kindergarten through 12th. The school we had, well, the elementaries that we had career fairs at didn't have pre-K, but pre-K would be just fine. And as far as organizing it, what it takes is one person has to be interested in doing it. If they're an educator, they need to reach out to one person that they know in the business community who cares, because all the business person has to do is ask other business people if they will participate. And they will find that the vast majority will say, absolutely, you tell me when to be there and we'll be there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the one thing we're going to be doing with Business Voices and the foundation is putting together a packet for career fairs, a suggested agenda, tips from Glen, tips from some of the other ones. You've seen photos I posted. And so, you know, we'll have that packet available in the near future for people who want to put together a career fair.
So I have two follow-up questions from me personally. And my first question is directed to the principals. And I asked Dr. Moten this yesterday, and I'm gonna ask it again, Dr. Moten. Either one of you, and let's let Principal Brown answer, and then we'll come to you, Dr. Moten. Have you ever experienced business owners on their own volition coming to you and saying, we're here, we'd like to interact with the kids on a career fair, career day, or job fair basis? Has that ever happened before?
That has never happened to me. It has always been the school going out into the community to seek folks that were interested in participating, but never has, and that's what made this such a joy and such a wonderful change. Never have we had the business community come to us to offer themselves in that planning process and helping us to make the contacts and really organize and pull those pieces together. That is what made this such a refreshing and wonderful event.
And can I just follow up with you and ask, how long have you been in school administration?
This is my 12th year.
12th year, and it's never happened before. Dr.
Never,
Moten,
and it's 24th year in education. And, you know, as a classroom teacher, working with committees and working with counselors and things, we've never had a group to come in and say, hey, we'd like to work with you on a career day or career fair. It is a wonderful, wonderful, and the reason it's so refreshing is because you bring in a different perspective in terms of what employers are looking for and how we can incorporate those pieces into what we're planning. So that's what made it, I think, so effective for our students, and how it was just a genuine experience.
Thank you for sharing that. And Dr. Moten, has it ever happened in your history of being in administration, and how long has that been? I think you've been in.
Yeah, I've been in about 28 years now. As I said yesterday, the spirit of which it has happened, I have never seen. We've had businesses come and say they want to help, but here's my business card, and you know, we want to sell you something while we're here. But just someone to come and say, we genuinely want to help, work with your kids, whatever you need, and do that, and then turn around and leave, and then, you know, let the email me and say, hey, by the way, we're selling, you know, whatever. No, I've never experienced that. Just the genuineness and the spirit of which this is done, I really think is unprecedented anywhere.
Fabulous.
That's the experience I saw, Beth, when I approached the local principals by me. They're like, well, what are you trying to sell us? You know, are you trying to sell the students?
Yeah.
Are you going to try to get to the parents through the students? It's like, no, we are here to help you. And what we started with was a back to school supply drive. You know, going to the school and say, here's $1,000 worth of gifts of supplies. Now can we help you?
Yeah, and what I hear too that's different is that the Business Voices teams are not coming in and saying, we want to brand this as a BNI event. We don't even talk about that with the faculty or the administrators. We're simply there. Our philosophy in BNI is givers gain. And I think that, you know, the two teams that we have on the call today have really exhibited that in an admirable way. And both of the principals, I think, are getting that. And my vision for doing these webinars is to get this message out. We've had other teams that have done career fairs and career days, and we have gotten similar feedback that the intent is to simply come in and serve the school and invest in the children. And as you're saying, Dr. Moten, and I think Principal Brown, you hit on this too, the kids feel like we in the community really care about them because we just show up. We're there, right?
Yes, yes. But I mean, just their presence, even during the planning process, going in and talking with classes and teachers, the more you're in the building and communicating with students, and they're able to have those authentic conversations and that follow-up, the better the relationship will be for everyone. And that's what happened with us. And that's what we're looking forward to this year as we plan.
Fantastic. Shanna, did you want to add anything more based on what we've talked about? Now we've circled around to, you know, have the principals experience this, and how was it for the kids? How was it for you interacting with those kids at that level? I mean, you had some phenomenal things happen at your career fair.
Again, it's phenomenal. I love to see that fire ignited.
Yes.
And even some of the ones that were like, okay, so we're doing that today. And to have them be engaged by at least one of the people that were there. But you know, every business that was represented might not have gotten to one child or to every child, but at least something there. You saw all the kids engaged on some level with everybody there. And just to walk around and see those that were nonchalant about the whole thing, and then by the end of the event, see them be so excited, like, you know, this can happen, I can do this. And the fact that they're not invisible. They have that people in the room that are interested in their expected end.
Yeah. Excellent.
I think that the images that was just shown to us, I don't know if everybody can see that.
I'll pull it back up.
But from a principal, or at least from my perspective, those images, say for instance, you look at that picture, those children leaning towards that knowledge, leaning towards that engagement, leaning towards that. I look at that, and that speaks volumes to me. Because when children are not interested, see, they back away from that table. The youngster with the pencil in the hand, the pencil is laid down, so it's a disconnect. That picture itself tells us that that person connected with those children and they were really engaged in that process, and they're going to walk away with all that juicy information that he was given. It's just a powerful image to me. So then we look at the young man behind the guy in the yellow shirt. You see him there with his hand sticking out? So he's reaching out, he's saying something. He's even engaged at that level where he's at the back of the row, but he's trying to make himself visible to the presenter to get some more juicy information. Mm-hmm. So for me, this picture is very powerful as it relates to the connection that these business people are bringing in and giving that information to our kids. Yeah. It's really a very powerful moment for kids.
I agree.
Very nice. Thanks for pointing that out. There was one picture of our director, Mike Macedonio, with some of the kids. And Brian, maybe you can pull that one up. And Mike shared a really funny anecdote from his time doing career fair for the school that they went to. And again, it's a demographic in that school that most of the parents are not entrepreneurs. Most of the parents are working. Yes, this is Michael. I think Brian was just circling Michael here for y'all to see him. A lot of I would say the majority of the parents are in white collar or laborer type jobs. And Michael is an entrepreneur. He is a business owner. And so when he's giving his presentation about what it is he does, he shared with the kids that as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, he has no boss. And I don't think there were any kids that came around his presentation, his table at all. And look how they're really leaning in with him, Dr. Moten. That's what made me think about him. They are really leaning in. They had no concept that there could be a career path where they are their own boss, or they have no boss watching over them. And then he went on to share, that doesn't mean that they can just kick back and watch movies all day or, do recreation. They have to really work. And in some cases, being an entrepreneur means you're working harder than someone who has an 8-to-5 job, but at least they got their minds opened to the concept that you could actually go into business for yourself and be successful. And then he would share how that would work.
And that bottom photo of the white table, I was told that was a photo from a career fair years ago when they just had businesses like lay out, like this is what this is what a person does, but not invite the business people. Now, do you see any engagement at that table?
No.
So we go from a career fair where they're just sharing information about the different types of career without anyone there, to full engagement. The top picture, the kids are raising their hands, they're asking questions. I mean, that is truly engaging.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Well, fantastic. I'm really gratified and very, very, very pleased with what's happening. And for those of you watching this recording back, just know that this is the tip of the iceberg. There are other Business Voices teams that are coming around and doing career fairs, job fairs. We even have one team that's actually doing such a big event that the schools are busing the kids to the event. It's like turning into a full-blown expo. So it can be done really small, manageable, whatever the size of your team is or who you've got kind of helping you to plan and prepare, or it can be big. My one ask is, and we do this in BNI, we to share your dream referral. I would love for the career days or the job fairs to be inclusive of the business community. And what I mean by that is, don't only bring BNI businesses to career fair. This is a great opportunity to network across the board in your business community and invite other business owners who aren't necessarily holding a seat in your BNI chapter. Right now, Business Voices is primarily powered by BNI, as we say, but we are looking to expand our operations and our influence into the greater business community and invite those business owners to come as well. And with the same orientation of giver's gain, that we come in there to do a career day. We're not there to market ourselves to the parents or to brand the career day. We're simply there to serve the school and help it as the school needs us to help.
Yeah, this photo I posted with a non-BNI member there. They run an animal rescue center, a nonprofit. So here you see the kids engaging with a nonprofit.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So Brian, I think that probably we'll need to revisit this topic for another webinar, perhaps next year, and expand with the stories and the images and maybe even have some of the kids come on with us to share what it meant to them to actually be able to engage this way. I think that'd be a neat thing to do.
Yes, I would love our panel, Dr. Moten, Shanna, please send me photos from these events. I get them from Glen, but I'd love to see your photos because some of the photos I collect were not BNI people, so you can see the power behind those all. Glen, any final thoughts of someone who wants to start or get a career fair started in the school? How do they approach the school? What recommendations do you do? Maybe on type of agenda? Should it be a bunch of tables laid around a room? Should it be going into a classroom and have each person talking? What would be your recommendation for someone who wants to say, okay, I love this idea, what do I do next?
All of of the above. We're joined now by Rhonda Blackburn, who is the guidance counselor at Griffith Elementary, and I went and met with her yesterday. The guy, as Dr. Moten brought out that the guidance counselor, somebody brought out that the guidance counselor has some responsibility in this area. So we met. I have a ton of information on how to start a career fair, and we're going to end up uploading that somewhere, Google Drive or somewhere where it can be downloaded easily. But when I go to talk to a person at the school, my goal is to help them better educate the children by exposing the kids to people outside of the school. I'm either blessed or cursed with a long memory. I remember elementary school, and I remember what it was like when someone came into the school from outside the school. It was a whole completely different kind of day. And it made school really interesting that day.
Yes.
The lives that we can change are every single child. That's what makes it interesting. And going into the school to talk to a guidance counselor or a principal or whomever, a career counselor, was high school last week. The way I approach it is, we want to help your children, and we're here to take nothing. This career fair is all about the kids, 100% about the kids. And I recommend having tables in a gymnasium. And the reason for that is we don't do small career fairs anymore. At Patrice's school, we had 40 business people there.
Wow.
Last week we had 50. The next one will have 60. So it takes a gymnasium to do it. Mm-hmm. And the tables running lengthways with chairs on both sides work the best for ours. So each child can sit down and talk to an adult face to face and actually have a conversation. When there aren't enough adults, then it's fine to have the kids standing like they were at that other one, or both of those. But if possible, it's awesome to have the kids sit down and talk face to face.
I think that's what made it most powerful for them, because they felt as if they were in a real interview. They were on opposite sides of the table. They presented themselves. They asked those questions, and they were able to connect with them personally, which made a big difference for our students.
Good to
know. And then as far as in conversation, we ask the younger kids questions, and we provide the business people with some ideas on what to ask. For the older kids, we provide them with some questions to ask. Mm-hmm. The questions that we provide are questions they can't get the answer to any other way. For example, what are 3 skills you need to do your job or run your business that you did not learn in school? Every one of us on this webinar knows that we had to learn lots of skills outside of school. So
yeah, my career was based, social media, online marketing wasn't even considered something in high school.
Didn't exist, did it?
No,
Jeff
it didn't.
stays with us now.
I was going to tell Jeff.
Why, yes, I am.
I'm happy that he can. Let me introduce you first before you jump in, Mr. Jeff. So Jeff Stay is the chairman of the board of directors for the BNI Foundation. He has the pleasure and the joy of being married to a school teacher. And so he's going to share with you, yes, the lovely Mrs. Stay.
Yes.
Share with you what it was like for him to show up. And I think you did career day. It was you and the whole class, I think. Is that correct? All of how many children? 30 children?
Well, it was actually me for half a day, and I got to see a 3rd grade, 4th grade, 5th grade, 7th grade, and 9th grade class in succession. And they started me with the tough ones first, which were the 9th graders. And I never thought I would be afraid of speaking in front of a group of people ever in my life. Because those of you that know me, I'm not exactly the shyest person in the room ever. And Beth, I have to tell you that facing down a group of 9th graders who are looking at you like, and really, what are you going to tell us that we don't already know? was an interesting and yet very rewarding experience. So thank you for that.
What was your biggest highlight from the day?
Well, I think what I would like to do, if I can, if you're okay with it, is I'll share my screen.
Ah, great.
And
yes, please.
Good, because I was looking for that photo and I can't find it in my files.
So I'm sharing my screen with you now. This was probably the highlight of my day. It was taking a selfie with Jenny's 4th grade class. And to give you a little background on this, on how this all occurred, I don't know, Beth, if you told them my story or not, but I'll make it really brief. So I met Jenny on the NCL Sky as we were doing our first ever BNI Foundation cruise. We had 26 BNI members and their families joining us on an NCL cruise to raise money where 100% of the proceeds went to the teachers. In 10 minutes on the ship, I met Jenny at the bar with her girlfriend teachers, who I'll put on the screen in a moment. And they were all, let's just say, having a wonderful shot of something delicious at the bar. And I walked over wanting to know why they were all having so much fun. And she looked at me, and I didn't realize this at the time, but she was clearly the elder stateswoman in the group. She said, because we're teachers. And I said, well, aren't you lucky? She looks at me and she goes, why? I said, because what we do is give money to teachers, and that's why I'm here. And she's like, really? She looked at me like I was crazy, and she said, well, I need your business card. And about 4 months later, Jenny applied for a mini grant from the foundation, and she asked for $500 for a set of books that would allow her kids to study for the FCAT, which is the state test for kids to test out of their grade here, because the school doesn't provide those books. And she actually was awarded $1,000 and was able to buy the whole set of books and was able to share it with the entire school. And at her school, she has a complete shelf in her classroom now that is dedicated to those books, and it actually says these books are thanks to BNI in her classroom. So the career day for me happened because Jenny asked me if I'd be willing to come and share with the kids what an entrepreneur does. And I said, sure. And so I did. And these kids were prepared with questions for me, Beth, and I think I may have mentioned this to you once or twice. Mm-hmm. My favorite 2 questions were, when they found out that I was an entrepreneur, were, are you rich? And I of course started laughing because, I said, well, it all just really depends upon how you look at it. And I said, yes, I'm very rich with relationships, and I'm rich with love. And they were like, "Aw." But the next question they asked me was even more funny, was, do I have a helicopter? And I told them, no, I do not have a helicopter. But if they had anyone that had one that I could use, I would be happy to ride in their helicopter. And so it was a very moving experience for me. It opened my eyes yet again to the importance of education in our communities. And what I was most impressed with these kids were, number one, this picture of these kids that you're seeing. There's 45 kids in the class, and 23 of them were born in some different country speaking some other language as their primary language.
Wow.
This is a very economically diverse area that Jenny's school is in. It's right between the wealthiest area of Miami Beach and the wealthiest area of Bell Harbor. It's kind of slammed right in the middle there. And the strategy of her school is to take over old Catholic school buildings that have been shuttered and abandoned and haven't yet been sold or redeveloped, because the diocese doesn't do that, and rent these from the Catholic diocese. And so they're in an old Catholic school, and Jenny opened the school. And she's now the most experienced teacher at the school. She's been teaching 20 years. She's the lead mentor teacher. And career day was overwhelming for me in so many ways. But I think the most interesting thing for all of you was 16 of the kids came up to me afterwards and said their cousin, their mother, their brother, someone they knew owned a business, and they asked me for my business card.
Oh my goodness. Oh, wow.
And Beth, to our point with Business Voices, this is an example of where we really can transcend, the walled garden that is BNI worldwide, and reach out to a much wider audience. And what better audience to reach out to than our educational institutions for our kids?
Very cool.
If anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to answer those.
Here are our last few minutes, Beth. So,
incidentally, I was going to give you the group of teachers as well. Funny photo here. Here it is. So this is literally the day after we met. These are the teachers that were with us that evening for dinner. There was actually 13 of them that I went to dinner with. They called me Insta-friend, and they literally like invited me to spend the weekend with them on the cruise ship because I was there by myself. And I'll never forget the waiter on Saturday night comes over to me. He's an Italian gentleman. He says, "I don't know what you do. I don't know who you are, but you must have some machismo." Because I was sitting there at the table all by myself with all these young single teachers. So, and Beth, incidentally, two of the people that the advisory council, and Glenn, you'll appreciate this, two of the people that the advisory council have approved are on this picture. This is Yvette Recio here, right here, and this is Madeline Figueredo. Mm-hmm. And Yvette works at the ISH, is the acronym, International School, Glenn, I forget the acronym, and then Madeline is at the Matter Beach Academy, and those two are both they both gave grant submissions to the advisory council for some consideration.
And which one is Jenny?
Oh,
yes.
Oh, yes, I should have definitely. I'm sorry I didn't do that. Hold on.
Lovely lady on the right.
Yes, she is.
Always on the right.
Let me get a great picture of Jenny. She'll be happy that I. Yes, she is, and you know that. That's her whole thing, Beth. That's her always on the right, and I'll tell you that story when we get to conference. There's Jenny.
She is. The beautiful Mrs. Stay.
That's Mrs. Stay at her first BNI conference, I might add.
Very nice.
Well, hopefully we answered many of the people's questions and sparked a flame to get career fairs launched in your area. Beth, our time is up. So any final thoughts from you?
Just keep doing this, you guys. I want to commend you and congratulate you for the success. First time out, knocking it out of the park, and just to keep doing this and inspiring us to take this out into the field and do more and better. You can see by the principals, both the principals' reaction today, and I think that Jeff Jenny would share the same sentiment, that it means so much to the kids to have us do this and to have us interact with them this way. So again, a great thing to spotlight with our BNI Foundation Spotlight webinars, Career Fair, Career Day. We're gonna post this recording in our Facebook page. So if you're watching this back after it was recorded and you have follow-up questions for us, please post them in the comments. And I promise you that Ivan, or that either Brian or myself or Jeff or maybe even Ivan will get on there and answer your questions and connect you with the folks that are doing this well and help coach you through how to do it in your own area.
I think sometimes when you sort of go on the fly and let things kind of morph into what they need to be, we end up with a fantastic outcome. And I can tell you that education's big for me. I sat on the Teach for America board for 2 years here and got to see how our kids really struggle and watch teachers really make a difference in their lives. And I was a public school kid from Minnesota. I never wondered where my meal was going to come from. I never wondered about my safety on my way to school. So anything I can do to help you in your local areas do that, that's what I'm committed to.
Thank you.
That's what the foundation is here to help. So please send me any photos for your events, or we'd love to add those to our promotions. And for those listening to the recording webinar, please contact us. My email is brianb@bni.com, and I would love to be able to send you materials to help you get a career day launched in your school. Because all you have to do is go to the school and ask, what can we do to help? You heard before, some schools are a little hesitant, but all they want to do is we want to help. Our Giver's Gain philosophy is there, no matter if it's BNI member or not. So we thank you all for being part of this call. Jeff, any final things, or should I?
Brian, just thank you so much for all. Thanks to you and Glenn both. Glenn for your passion for this always, and for your service to the advisory council, and Brian for all the great work you're doing. I have to echo your sentiments exactly. We can't help with a problem we don't know about, and all it takes is an ask. So thank you for that.
Okay, Beth?
All right, so this concludes the recording. I'm going to go ahead and end the recording, and then we'll disband the call after a few parting comments among ourselves. Thanks for watching.